Today we are talking about oat straw and the use of it in herbal form. So often when I'm going through this series, I'm talking about using these in the form of tea. It's the most gentle way to introduce a plant physically into your body. And in certain cultures and obviously certain parts of the world, this has been used for thousands of years, and it's often sort of seen as quite a nourishing and restorative herb to work with. And yes, of course, most people know oats as a food, but there's also a part of the plant which can then be made into oat straw, which can then be made into tea, or also used in other herbal remedies and forms as well. So oat straw is often it's harvested from the green stems and the leaves of the oats and the oat plant, and that's often before the grain fully matures. So it's more of a younger aspect of the plant, and yeah, it's often, as I sort of said before, being seen as quite a nourishing plant to have, and usually people use it as more of a long-term tonic rather than for an immediate effect. And that's not to say that it won't have an immediate effect, but it does tend to, the properties tend to come out more so over longer term use. So you want to do like a journey with it, right? And that could be 21 days, could be 28 days, it could be a longer cycle. That's only something that you or your herbalist, your naturopath, would generally know and be able to assist you with. Now, when we're looking at the herb, I just want to go through a couple of aspects of it. So talking about sort of physical things that it may assist with, emotional, mental, metaphysical. Again, I'm not a medical practitioner, nor am I a medical expert. The oat straw may assist with certain things. I'm not saying it's curing X, Y, and Z. So the physical attributes of the body that this plant may assist with, we're looking at supporting the nervous system. It contains quite a lot of minerals like calcium, magnesium, and silica, and it can be traditionally used to support healthy skin, hair, and nails just because of its mineral content. Now, when we're looking at its emotional elements that it can help with, when we're looking at the traditional kind of herbalism, looking at sort of nourishment, restoration, often used after quite long periods of stress, overwhelm, or emotional exhaustion as well, can provide quite a sense of calm and resilience. It's great for encouraging things like rest and recovery as well. We get into the more mind aspects, what are those kind of things up there that this plant may assist with. In traditional herbalism, we're looking at things like helping with focus, mental clarity, can help with the sort of nervous exhaustion, and it's often associated with quite a steady energy rather than kind of like an instant up and down kind of stimulation, and it can promote quite a lot more of a balanced thinking and mental resilience as well. And often in traditional herbalism, for the mental aspects that this herb may assist with, it'll be paired with things like lemon balm and skull cap as well. Now, when we're looking into the metaphysical, we're looking into more of the spiritual traditions that work with herbs, and we're looking at seeing this as a symbolism of nourishment, abundance, restoration. It can be seen to kind of help strengthen the energetic body, which is kind of like a body that sits but larger than our physical form. And it's often used in rituals around self-care, gratitude, and healing as well. Now, when we're getting into kind of the cultural stories and the folklore, if we look at the Celtic traditions, it would often be a symbolism of abundance and prosperity and nourishment. Oats were deeply connected with the agricultural cycle of those cultures, and they were very much valued for sustaining both people and also animals, especially in the cooler months. If you found a way in which you can, store them after they've grown through those cooler months. It can really help you and your people sustain life through those times when not a lot of food is growing. And yeah, obviously there was a lot of harvest celebrations. They honoured grains and they honoured oats, as gifts from the earth. Then when you get into the Scottish kind of heritage, you're looking at, how that was a symbol for them as more of strength and perseverance and practical wisdom, wisdom actually applied in the material form. And even though oat straw may have been celebrated less so than the actual grain that we call oat, the entire plant in itself was still respected for its usefulness, and how it could really sustain and nourish life. Now, when we're getting into the chakra or particular points in the body that this plant often liked working with, we'd probably be looking at things like the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and the root chakra. When we're looking at planetary associations in particular cultures, we're looking at more things like Venus and the moon. When we're looking at elemental associations, it's more associated with earth and water. And when we're looking at astrological associations, we're looking at things like Taurus, Cancer, and Virgo. Now, oats are grown in various places around the world, although it was traditionally more of a just particular areas in Europe that it grew. Now you can find it across more countries or more lands of Europe, North America, Australia, and also New Zealand. It tends to thrive best in temperate climates with quite rich and well-drained soils. So, yeah, usually harvested while it's green before the oat seeds fully mature. So if you've worked with this herb before and you've found it to be quite beneficial, let us know in the comment section down below. If you're living in a place where you can easily find oat straw and you wish to introduce this plant into your life more, then yeah, obviously go out and see if you can find it in its organic whole form. Obviously dried is usually how it comes. And if you don't feel like physically consuming it, you can, work with the artistry of it. It could be a painting, a drawing, photography of the actual oat straw itself. You could be visualizing it and working with it that way as well, especially if you're living in a climate where oat straw is not something that you grow in. We do encourage more use of art and imagination, as that then that way you're not necessarily encouraging the unnecessary kind of consumption of something that isn't very local to where you reside. So yes, if you've got any more questions, welcome to leave that in the comment section below, and we'll see you again soon.